While researchers regard the third Monday of January as the gloomiest day of the whole year. The date was calculated using various factors including debt level, time since Christmas and time since failing our New Year's resolution. So what can we do really to survive the post-holiday blues? Joining me now is Shokat Muchenika, who's a mental health portfolio manager at Pharma Dynamics in Cape Town, to tell us more. Shokat, I know that it's the third Monday of the year. Well, the third Monday of the year, really, and that happens tomorrow. So that means that South Africans will be having an extra blue Monday tomorrow. How can we possibly avoid that?
Well, firstly, that we know that it's coming, and we have to put certain coping strategies into place, really. You know, as South Africans already, 1 in 3 South Africans may suffer from a depressive episode as such. So, you know, maybe to avoid that, put some coping strategies in place to avoid the bluest Monday of the year.
And how is this algorithm actually calculated? I understand that there's an algorithm that calculates how is it that the third Monday is actually pointed to as the bluest Monday of the year. I mean, of the entire year. This Monday that is approaching tomorrow will be the bluest in the year. How's that algorithm actually defined?
Well, according to Dr. Arnold, it's quite a complex algorithm where he used financial situations of people, especially the debt, the motivational levels, the post-Christmas, post-New Year celebrations, you know, when things are starting, all the lights are going down, people are trying to take off the Christmas trimmings, and then the mood is dropping as well. So all of these things play its role in calculating the bluest Monday of the year. And as you know, in South Africa, in January, it's back to work, it's back to school, it's the financial situation of school clothes and school fees. So all of these factors are considered when calculating the bluest Monday of the year.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite bizarre, but at the same time, it's a very serious issue because it's a mental health thing. Do we see that particularly around this time of the year, there may even be a spike in the amount of people that would phone in and say they're depressed or they're suffering from depression, or even those that even maybe possibly suicidal, just given how much financial pressure there seems to be on numerous individuals around this time?
Yeah, we definitely do find that there is a spike post festivities. On average already, there's about 230 suicides per day in South Africa, with about 23 being successful. So you do find there's definitely a spike at this time of the year. And financial debt has a huge role to play with this.
We're talking about financial debt, but then on the other side of it, Shokat, maybe individuals will say that, look, we know that January is coming, right? We often refer to it as January. So it is coming, It is looming. Yes, many individuals got paid maybe even on the 14th of December in 2018. By the time it's the 14th of January, the funds are exhausted. But we know it. It's almost like winter's coming, as Game of Thrones would have it. So how then do we mitigate that and keep stressing to people that really winter's coming, stop preparing for it?
That's correct. So as we're sitting here now, we're almost talking in hindsight because of the day being tomorrow, and we're in January already. And some of the things that the general public need to look out for is, for example, putting coping strategies into place, like their financial situation, their careers, their family, their aspirations, and see what's really the problem over there. Really, I know it's very cliche, but definitely look at exercise, raise the levels of endorphins, feel-good factor. Eating can lead to tiredness. So it's a multitude of factors one has to look at in trying to cope with January, as you put it.
And then obviously with the trying to cope aspect of it is payday is for many individuals happens at the end of the month, which means that there's the added pressure of school uniforms, and some people even are struggling to fulfill their, believe it or not, their New Year's resolutions. Are we seeing that it's a common practice that for the first 3 days or 4 days of January, everybody's just, you know, high spirits and ready to go, and by the time it's the 14th or the 21st, everybody's feeling kind of sluggish, which is ironic because it's only the beginning of the year?
Yeah, that's quite a significant part of it, where one puts in all these New Year's resolutions, at least one New Year's resolution, and you're right in saying by the third week of January, they're already non-committal to the New Year's resolution. So a big part of that is setting oneself realistic New Year's resolutions. As people, we tend to make very similar ones every year. And therefore, we should have a really good idea of what is realistic and what is not realistic for us at this point in time. And if I can just go one step back in terms of the financial situation. So we know the financial situation, and sometimes people, not everyone, and the fortunate ones who do get a bonus or a 13th check, need to manage that accordingly, knowing what's going to happen in January.
And of course, there's another added pressure now of students, and one cannot stress this issue enough. This is the time that students are going through registrations. Many of them are finding out that, in fact, they cannot register for the 2019 academic year. Other students are feeling excluded because of finances. Others are struggling to even have any form of accommodation in any or in either of the institutions of higher learning around the country, and that adds in the more pressure. And we saw last year how there was a significant spike in student suicide and suicide amongst those young people that are currently studying in various institutions of higher learning simply because of the pressure. So how then do we start reaching out to them, especially around this time where exclusion is a possibility, where accommodation is a possibility, where they're feeling as though their future is uncertain at this point?
The most important factor here is one's family. Reaching out firstly to one's family, identifying that yes, there is a problem because of the situation the individual finds themselves in. Secondly, for example, if one does research at the correct websites, for example, Pharmadynamics has a website called letstalkmh.co.za. There's multiple information on depression, anxiety, where one can read up on credible information, or they can call the Pharmadynamics helpline from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Sunday on 0800 20 50 26, and where a trained counsellor will talk them through some of these situations. And you're 100% right. January, and you can add to that also the matric results that happen in the beginning of January, causes added pressure, depression, anxiety, depending what the outcome is.
Which means that South Africans are clearly going through a hard time at this point. So looking at the various strategies, we speak a little bit earlier about how there's a need for exercise, there's a need to consider family, there's a need to set realistic goals and be realistic in how is it that we perhaps even approach life. For those individuals that are going to work tomorrow, we're anticipating the very bluest Monday of all. How then do we start countering that? Would you say that maybe it's also a case where South Africans are really angry, some of us, some South Africans are really angry. Maybe it's just the issue around the political climate, maybe it's the issue of social issues, but we find that South Africans are they're not laughing as much and they're not smiling as much, and that perhaps even adds on to the depression.
Yeah, that is so true at this point in time. I mean, like you pointed out, we have the elections coming up very soon, where South Africans are trying to cope with that as well. The one important thing we must not forget is being happy. I think we need to make a conscious effort of being happy. One of the skills I've learned very recently was being mindful of the situation that we find ourselves in. Take time out in the morning. Let's just practice mindfulness, see where we are at the morning, and then get rid of all the negativity as far as possible before we start our day.
Sure, we're going to leave our conversation there, but thanks a lot for joining us this evening, shedding some light on how to avoid the bluest Monday of the year. It's been dubbed, according to algorithms, as the bluest Monday of the year, and that happens tomorrow, everybody. Please note, winter's coming. Prepare yourself enough. Smile, be kind to someone, and hopefully we can get over the Monday blues.
Just smile. Make a big difference.